This conference will now be recorded.
Good afternoon. We'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. At this time, if you could all join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. At this time, is there any public comment? Seeing none, can I get a verification of the posting of the agenda, please?
Pam Moore, for the record, the agenda was posted on July 11th between the hours of 8 and noon at all of the locations listed on the agenda in accordance with statutes.
Thank you, Pam. This is going to be a revised agenda with the removal of 6A, and we're also going to move agenda appointment G all the way to the top above A. Do I have a motion for that?
I move to approve the agenda as revised.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. We'll jump straight to appointment 7G, consideration and possible action, appointment of Ryan Swarzik and Sarah Kohler to the Library Board of Trustees to serve a 4-year term ending June 30th, 2028, and appointment of Sue Segura to serve an unexpired term ending October 31st, 2026. Remove that.
Sorry, you ready for me? Yep. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Jim Barbie for the record. We interviewed 7 candidates as applicants for the library board, which are listed there in the agenda item, and resolved that by recommending, and also on the interview committee was Chris Spross and myself, and resolved that with a recommendation for the appointment of Ryan Swarzik, Sarah Kohler, and Sue Segura.
Any questions or comments for Jim? Is there any public comment? A motion, please.
I'll make a motion to appoint Ryan Swarzik and Sarah Collier to the Library Board of Trustees to serve 4-year terms ending June 30th, 2028, and appoint Sue Segura to serve an unexpired term ending October 31st, 2026.
Second it.
All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. If we could have you two come up. Sue Segura is out right now at a conference, but if you could come up and get sworn in.
Both of you together. We'll just do it together. So raise your right hand, please, and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Ryan Swarzik. I, Sarah Kohler.
Do solemnly swear that I will support.
Do solemnly swear that I will support.
You guys can do it together.
Okay, sorry.
That I will support,
Protect and defend
Protect and defend
the Constitution and government
the Constitution and government
of the United States and the state of Nevada
and the state of Nevada
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
whether domestic or foreign,
whether domestic or foreign,
and that I will
and that I
bear,
will
bear true faith,
bear true faith,
allegiance, and loyalty
allegiance, and loyalty
to the same,
to the same,
to any ordinance,
to any ordinance,
resolution, or law
resolution, or law
of any state notwithstanding,
of any state
withstanding,
and that I will
and that I will
well and faithfully
well and faithfully
perform all duties
perform all duties
of the office or position of
of the office or position of
Library Board of Trustees
Library Board of Trustees,
on which I'm about to enter,
which I'm about to enter.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Perfect. So now if you guys...
Bet you didn't know you were signing up for that. Thank you both for your service. Moving on to 7A, consideration and possible action, update on current activities, plans, or actions related to the Bureau of Land Management, Carson City District. Are we online with that one? Are you guys here in person? Great.
Hello, I'm Sheidra Rakestraw. I am the current field manager for the Stillwater Field Office in a detail. So my detail runs from May to September. I'm also the assistant field manager for Sierra Front Field Office, where I manage the lands and realty program and employees for the district. As the field manager, but I'm permanent as the assistant field manager. So, kind of doing two jobs right now. Yes, so I can just talk about what's going on there a little bit. We are currently, our district manager, Kim Dow, has hosted some interviews for field managers. So we're just waiting to hear on what are the next steps there. Some other hires, we have new land realty specialists on board. I have one person here. His name is Chris Searle. So we have more realty specialists coming on board, range specialists coming on board at the end of the month. Also, there's advertisement for geologists or 2 geologists out on USA Jobs, a project manager as well, contact representatives. So there's a lot of movement, which we're excited about because this is a great time for us to replenish our positions and bring new people on and learn about the great things that are happening in Carson City District. Yeah. All right, so we can start with the National Defense Authorization Act, BLM. So the Carson City District is currently working through a process to hire a project manager. I kind of mentioned that just a few minutes ago. Currently, Melanie Hornsby will be in the detail as the project manager. We're just waiting for final information from HR when that start date is going to be. Melanie is also the military liaison, so I'm sure some of you are familiar with her already, working on this NDAA and the efforts there. We hire 2 realty specialists. I introduced one already, but we do have an NDAA team where there are 2 realty specialists dedicated to the NDAA for within the district, and it could be any NDAAs, I should say, within the district, but primarily for right now, the 2023 enacted NDAA. And then also a range specialist coming on at the end of the month. And then the project manager, and then we have a GIS specialist to support the NDAA team. So BLM is awaiting an application and planning of development from Churchill County for the Sand Canyon Road. I know that maybe Kim Dow has been in communication with Churchill County on some items there, and so we're just waiting on those next steps to take. And then BLM submitted the PR package on 7/11, so July the 11th, to our BLM contracting for the Sand Canyon baselines to start that. So it has to go through a contracting, and the funding came in, of course, from like the Navy to submit it, and we're just waiting for those to be awarded or approved from our contracting. Also, BLM Nevada Department of Agriculture and the Navy we meet regularly with the affected grazing permittees, so continuous conversations and meetings are going on there. I know more so Kim Dow, she leads those conversations definitely. And then BLM and BOR, we met yesterday actually to discuss the process of Section 2907 and Section 2908. So a couple things came out of that meeting. It was important for us to come together and get everything like on paper, I should say, what we've been discussing over the last year. and create a plan. And so BOR has an example of a plan that how we can move forward from the BOR side, and then we have a plan on how we can feed into their plan. And this is primarily for Section 2907. So those are the purple within the, up in the north west area. There are some purple parcels there, and so I know like a couple weeks ago, Jim, we had a conversation about the like priorities and everything for 1 and 2. So I probably need to follow up with Kim and just ask for confirmation of what those priorities are so we can get forward, because that's the plan that we're trying to go off on when moving forward of how BOR and BLM could play in. And so with that saying, BOR, they have kind of a timeline on their end to get something over to them in the next 3 weeks or so.
And we just met prior to this meeting, looking at some of these parcels and discussing one of the 3 priorities that BOR has some concerns about, and are now looking at alternatives that we would put forward if that is something that's able to accomplish. But we continue to maintain the one on I-80 and the one north of Fallon are 2 for sure priorities that are set solid that we would like to move on.
Okay, thank you for that. Yeah, and that's good that they were able to meet with you all prior to this meeting, because that helps the conversation, I think, and what we're going to do next. And then for Section 2908, we are working with Jeremy on the implementation strategy plan. So this is the checkerboard on the previous slide of how we're going to consolidate the lands for public use and which lands are available for land exchange with the landowners within Churchill County. That is going to be a comprehensive document, and we have had requests in the past from our spring meeting with Churchill County and also with BOR to include Churchill County in on draft, reviewing the draft. And so that is our expectation to do sometime in the fall, to send it over once we get a draft together and button up at least with what we think should be in there, and then get that feedback from you all and also BOR. All right. So with the Wild Horse and Burro census here, I can give you an update on the horse AML, high end, and also 2024 estimated horse population. And then if you want to know the Bureau, I can do that too. So I'll just go down with Clan Alpine for the horse AML high end. There was 979, and then the 2024 estimated horse population was 612. Desatoya, 180 for the horse AML high end, and 2024 estimated horse population, 127.
Do you have another horse gathering scheduled?
So there is one preparing for the Marietta Wild Burro Range gathered, anticipated around to start on August the 20th. And then Lahontan, horse AML high end 10, 2024 estimated horse population is I think 53. And then for South Stillwater, horse AML high end is 16, and then 2024 estimated horse population 22. All right. And so there are some geothermal projects moving forward, or that we've been managing, I should say, the BLM. With Dixie Meadows, we're coordinating with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, Navy, and ORMAT on additional data needs, and so we have ongoing meetings with them. Also with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, we've met with them a couple times, just discussing about what we need to consider as BLM on this project. Diamond Flat exploration NEPA, it's in progress and working on a timeline with the NEPA contractor. Our Melanie Hornsby. She's also, her permanency is Planning Environmental Coordinator. So she manages this from a Planning Environmental Coordinator position as well. And so she just sent me a timeline to review, and that's something I need to review when I return to the office. Coyote Canyon Exploration ORMAT withdrew application for a project on July the 11th. I wasn't given a reason why they withdrew, they just withdrew it. Comstock Exploration currently on hold until other priority projects have crossed the milestones. All right. Next slide. Get out my notes for this one. So this is more about the Greater Sage Grouse. So BLM Sage Grouse, there was an environmental assessment that went out for public comment period, which was ended on June the 13th, 2024. And so with that, there are 5 alternatives proposed there. And then there are different boundary changes within this Greater Sage Grouse EA. And so the press release went out on March the 14th, 2024. The plan is to strengthen the Greater Sage Grouse conservation and management on public lands, informed by the best available science and input from local, state, federal, and tribal partners. The focus is in maintaining, protecting, and restoring healthy sagebrush habitats. Any questions on this one? No? Okay. Well, if you have any questions, I have more information. And so with this, there is, for the special recreation permits update, the one that we have going on is Vegas to Reno, so August 14th, the OHV race. So this is just a map showing, where the OHV race will be. All right. So for the Vero fiber optic line, so with this project, a decision record and FONSI was signed on March the 15th, 2024. However, this project more so crosses over 8 counties, so Washoe, Story, Lyon, Churchill, Mineral 9, Esmeralda, and Clark. It's about 450-mile buried fiber optic line and approximately across 58 acres of linear right-of-way. The grant and notice to proceed was issued. However, each district within BLM, where it runs from Reno all the way down to Vegas, we have to manage what goes on in the district. So if there are any amendments or new type of NEPA compliances that we need to review, then our district will review, of course, Carson City area. If something was to happen in Vegas, like a route that they wanted to change, then they would reach out to the Vegas district. We have had that already after signing. So we're working with them now to do some rerouting due to equipment not going into the decision on routes that were in this EA. With the Green Link West, this project, of course, is 477-mile transmission line between Reno and North Las Vegas. It spans portions of Clark, Nye, Esmeralda, Mineral, Story, and Washoe counties. And right now, BLM National NEPA Register, the link is provided to review. I know there has been some movement since the last time probably an update came out for Green Link. There has, this project really impacts a lot of the solar projects or a lot of renewable energy projects as well. And so with that said, we continue to work with our state office on the transmission lines, the Green Link West, Green Link North. There's that other project on the substations within Churchill County for the different projects that are going on. Any questions?
Yeah, I have a question.
Okay.
You talked about working with Jeremy on the guidelines for purchase of properties. Is there a timeline on that?
So we met a couple weeks ago with Churchill County with one of our realty specialists or experts from the state office. He does a couple things. And so that is more so for Section 2908, where we're trying to get a market analysis. He has a contact currently. I think he's just waiting for those documents to come over to him. I was speaking with Jeremy a little bit earlier and just explaining to him where that's at. And if, within a week or so, if we haven't received anything, to just reach out to Jeremy and let him know.
Is there a timeline on it
For the comps to come over?
for the comprehensive document?
Oh, so for us to get a draft out, we mentioned probably in September sometime to get a draft out for Churchill County and BOR to review, and any other parties to review who are a part of the legislation. A final draft, we're hoping, it just depends on the edits, honestly. So I'm sure there are going to be edits. And with that saying, I don't know that timeline, but our goal is sometime to have a final draft in fiscal year 2025 of the federal calendar.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there any other questions or comments? All right, thank you.
All right, thank you. Have a nice day.
You too. We'll go ahead and move to 7B, consideration and possible action, approval of Resolution 12-2024, providing for the transfer of Churchill County's 2024 private activity bond volume cap to the Nevada Rural Housing Authority.
All right. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. My name is Katie Coleman. I am the Communications Director with Nevada Rural Housing, and I am here today to briefly add a little more flavor to the points of interest that were outlined in that packet that was previously provided with our request for the transfer of the county's unused bond cap. Really quickly, we've been around since 1973. Since then, we've grown quite a bit from a public housing agency to a multifaceted housing finance agency. We really look at housing as a full ecosystem, really looking for opportunities for all rural Nevadans to find affordable opportunities for housing, whether it's rental or home ownership. I'm going to really talk about home ownership and how that transfer really bolsters that opportunity. Last 50 years, 51 years, in fact, we've seen a lot of growth. In 2006, that was the birth of our home ownership program, and that has delivered more than $2 billion in affordable mortgages overall, many of which have happened right here in the county, of course. We've also been running a home buyer tax credit program that's resulted in $40 million in tax savings to rural home buyers, and that really helps them infuse those savings back into their local communities. We love that. And then we also assist about 1,200 rural Nevada families with rent annually. Again, trying to keep them off that brink of homelessness and really pushing themselves further down that line to self-sufficiency. Hopefully, home ownership. That's what we're working towards. Partnerships, relationships are really at the cornerstone of how we make this happen. This county has been a key contributor to the success of these programs. To the tune of $12.6 million in total in terms of that transfer of unused private activity bond cap. So thank you for that to date. I did want to make note that bond cap is not a money line item on a locality's budget. Instead, it's the opportunity to issue tax-free debt for qualified purposes, or it can be transferred to an entity like ours for purposes like our homeownership program. And that is the funding mechanism that we use for our homeownership programs and that tax credit program. I also wanted to make note and share this with the commission and with everyone who's listening that we have issued a single-family mortgage bond revenue program. This is a first in a little bit, but those unused private activity bond cap transfers go to make this type of program possible. So I wanted to shed a little bit of light on that It is a $25 million mortgage revenue bond program that is opening on July 22nd to all rural jurisdictions, including yours. We're really excited about it. It's called Launchpad, full rocket ship theme and everything, really exciting. It is a first-time homebuyer program. Because it's a bond program, it is a set rate out the gate. It is set at 6.17%, and that comes with 4% of the loan amount. So 6.17% in this market paired with down payment assistance that is forgivable after 5 years, 100% forgivable after 5 years, is pretty unheard of in this challenging market. So we're really excited to be able to bring that to your community, to rural Nevada. And again, that transfer of that unused bond cap made that happen. So thank you so much for doing that in the past, and hopefully move forward, we can continue to do that. I also wanted to just make note on a couple of things that we do here in Churchill County to help get the word out. It's been a rough couple of years in the market. I don't even have to say that. Everyone has seen these interest rates and understands home prices, but we continue to beat the drum on the benefits of home ownership. We have a free homebuyer education platform that we put out there that anyone can take at any time. It is a required component of our program, but we put that out there for the benefit of our communities. We do a lot of our outreach with our local media with the Launchpad program. We're really amping that up right now to make sure that we're using that $25 million in mortgage revenue bond funding. So I'm working with the Fallon Post right now, Lahontan Valley News, Nevada Appeal, of course. We do a lot of digital outreach. We do a lot of geo-targeting, which means we're going after renters in your community, getting them that message where they get their media, their information, their news. We also do a lot of digital streaming TV with a partner. So we're out there and we're hitting it harder now that we have a really great rate to get out there, and we know that that's something that people should be taking advantage of. For anyone who's curious, buyruralnv.org is where you should go and check out the new program and all of our programs for that matter. We work with a host of local lenders who know our programs. They're trained in our programs. They're trusted providers of our program who can get our home buyers hooked up with the assistance they need and with all that education and good stuff they need as a first-time home buyer. So with all that being said, let's talk about Churchill County just specifically for one moment, and then I'll wrap it up. Since 2006, specifically, our program has provided 343 home buyers in Churchill County a home of their own. That is $67 million in affordable mortgages. That is $1.8 million in down payment assistance, and that equals about $1 million in estimated federal tax savings. More recently, and I did want to pull up some more recent numbers, last 365 essentially, even in a challenging market, we've been able to assist 8 home buyers in the county. That's $2.8 million in mortgages, $100,000 in down payment assistance, and that's about $180,000 in tax savings. That tax savings program has been very important and popular, especially in this economy with that inflation kind of doing its thing. It really helps those mortgages become more affordable. All right, so I am here to answer any additional questions. Again, we're here to request the transfer of that unused private activity bond cap, and we appreciate your support. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Is there any public comment? Seeing none, can I get a motion?
I move to adopt Resolution 12-2024, providing for the transfer of Churchill County's 2024 private activity bond volume cap to Nevada Rural Housing Authority.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Moving on to 7C, consideration and possible action. Nevada Division of Water Resources provides notification that the city of Fernley filed application that proposes to change the point of diversion, place of use, and use of manner of a portion of existing permit 80,184 from an underground source located in Lyon County, Nevada, to a new point of diversion and place of use in Churchill County, Nevada. Chris? Bottom button, the red one. Yep. There we go.
Good afternoon, members of the board. Chris Mahana, consultant for Churchill County, for the record. Here just, and Pam, I think, is going to bring up a map. The city of Fernley filed 4 temporary change applications to move water from Lyon County into Churchill County for a solar project and battery storage facility pursuant to NRS 533-360. When there's a movement of a point of diversion from one county to the other, it requires both counties to hold a hearing and notice of the applications. Is this upper button a pointer?
No, it's the, to look at it. Yeah, maybe it is. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, there we go. Showing on my screen. Huh, it's working on my screen. Oh, hold on. Let me put my mouse over here. Now will it work? What about up there? Not working? I don't know what's going on.
Is it okay if I just approach the map and speak loud? Okay.
Put that microphone on right there. Yeah. Thanks, Miles.
Thank you, sir. So the original point of diversion in Lyon County is located here just south of Interstate 80. In this little neck of Lyon County, Churchill County is over here. So there's a temporary change of 250 acre feet of water, 4 temporary applications to 4 points of diversion and place of use north of Interstate 80. Just for reference, this is 80, the existing geothermal. I think it's an onion processing plant right about here. The 250 acre feet, I think, is for a 2-year period just for construction phase. Their ultimate use is less than 10 acre feet, and they'll follow that with a permanent application to change. So that's my understanding of the intent of the applications. If there's any questions, the board, you folks can take action if you like. The recommendation's obviously not binding on the state engineer. My recommendation is that you go ahead and support the applications. It sounds like it's a economic benefit for Churchill County. So if there's any questions.
Is there any questions or comments for Chris? Is there any public comment? Could I get a motion, please?
I'll make a motion to direct whatever action the board deems appropriate to the state engineer.
Would you like to make a motion to support?
I'll make a motion to support.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Thank you for your time, Chris. We'll move to 7D, consideration and possible action, approval of the proposed scope of work and fees in the amount of $200,340 for Lombard Conrad Architects for the building owned by Churchill County located at 290 South Main Street and to authorize the county manager to execute necessary contracts. Randy?
Thank you, Mr. Chair and fellow commissioners. Randy Hines, Churchill County Public Works Director. Churchill County received funding through ARPA to purchase facilities to house the Central Nevada Health District in conjunction with Churchill County Social Services and the Churchill County Rural Public Health Laboratory located at 270-290 South Main Street. The proposed contract is for design services for 290 South Main Street. The future location of the Central Nevada Health District. To date, Churchill County Social Services was awarded $1.6 million in 2023. $1,443,750 contractual and construction, and $156,250 for equipment. As of June 30th, we've expended $4,951.71, with a remaining balance of $595,049.29.
That's ARPA money?
Yes, that's our,
That's all our
yeah,
money, yeah.
that's, yeah, we have remaining
Yeah, so- Yeah, so
$595,000.
this isn't coming from the county budget, this is from the ARPA?
No, it's from the ARPA fund.
Okay. Which is, yeah.
Funds. Is that all you got?
Yeah, that's it.
Any questions or comments for Randy? If not, a motion, or any public comment? A motion, please.
I move to approve the contract as presented and to authorize the county manager to execute the same.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Thanks,
Thanks,
Randy.
Randy.
7E, consideration and possible action, purchase of property located at 65 North Carson Street, Fallon, Nevada, APN 001-123-09 in the amount of $225,000. Jared, you taking this one?
Thank you. I'm just here if you have any questions. I just thought I might.
I can take the lead on it. Mr. Chairman, Jim Barbie, County Manager. So this is the property immediately next to the fire department. There's basically the fire department, which county-owned property. There's this house, and then next to it is another piece of county property that is doesn't have any buildings or constructions on it. In the time that I've been here in the last 6 years, I know that this has been a property that the county has wanted to obtain, and I think much before I got here, that's been the goal of the county. So we had an opportunity to make a proposal on the property to purchase it at appraisal. It appraised at 225. You had a willing seller, and we would like to be a willing buyer. So we bring this forward for your approval.
Any questions or comments about this agenda item? Is there any public comment? A motion, please.
I'll make a motion to approve and authorize the county manager to sign all documents necessary to complete the purchase of the real estate at 65 North Carson Street, Fallon, Nevada, in the amount of $225,000.
Second it.
All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Jared. 7F, consideration and possible action, ratification of an agreement between ADSD Office of Community Living and Churchill County for bed bugs remediation and educational services in the amount of $54,273.80. Shannon?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members of the board. For the record, Shannon Ernst, Churchill County Social Services. Back in January 2024, we applied for a demonstration grant through ADSD. The purpose was really to develop strategies to reduce bed bugs across rural Nevada. There has been a huge impact in especially rural counties. We're seeing it at the hospitals, we're seeing it in housing. We were first denied for this application because it was extremely competitive, and then they came back late in April and asked if we would accept the funds and proceed. So we've accepted these funds, we're developing the program, and if approved today, I would like to enter contracts with the necessary companies to provide the mitigation, and then work with Central Nevada Health District to provide the education and media outreach piece. Any questions I can answer?
Any questions or comments for Shannon?
Is this just for bed bugs and not scabies?
Just bed bugs. It was a legislative item, I know.
Is there any other questions? Is there any public comment? A motion, please.
I move to approve and ratify the agreement as presented and to authorize the Social Services Director to execute necessary contracts with providers per the specifications.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Thank you,
Thank you.
Shannon. 7H, presentation by Jeremy Drew, Resource Concept Incorporated, of a public lands and natural resource tracking list.
See if I can get my microphone to work after lunch. Good afternoon. For your record, Jeremy Drew, Principal Resource Specialist with RCI. Just here to give a kind of a quarterly update on the items that we're tracking, and BLM covered many of these. But on your first page, just a little bit more visual on where the Navy and BLM and BOR and every other EIO federal agency in Churchill are at in terms of implementing FRTC modernization in the lands bill. The focus of the Navy really has been on private land acquisition for the Dixie Valley so that they can make that range expansion active, and then the next tier that they're actively working on is B16, and where that comes to play for us is the reconstruction of Lone Tree Road as well as the relocation of Sand Canyon Road. We're working through some of the details in terms of the federal requirements for right-of-way grants and some of their maintenance requirements versus some of what's in NRS as relates to whether we designate as a standard county road or a minor county road. On a parallel track, we're also working on getting the funding in place for the design of that. So we're still a little ways out. The critical path items are the SF 299 once we figure out how the maintenance is going to work. Getting the biological work done, which we've already kind of worked through with BLM on what that area should look like so they can move forward with that piece. And then the funding so that we can get started with more of the detailed design. So we continue to kind of keep our nose down on that function with an eye towards there's still a lot of work going on behind the scenes as relates to the grazing appraisals. I know there's a new appraiser involved and hopefully a little bit better process that's true to the legislative language there. And that will kind of set the tone for how those compensations go in the other ranges. The one other item that's going on just to keep in mind is the Gabbs Valley Highway realignment. A lot of the baseline and background study is going on for that as well, just because of the size of that project. So that's kind of the first big piece of the B17 mitigation that'll happen. That's all I had on FRTC mitigation or items, unless there's questions as I wrap up. On the second page is more of the general BLM, DOI items that we're tracking for the county. You'll remember that we provided comments about a year ago, this time on the DOI BLM proposed rule on conservation and landscape health. So this really addressed the BLM's ability to designate areas of critical environmental concern without a full-blown resource management plan amendment, as well as the concept of conservation leases. That rule was finalized in June. And while there were some changes made, the key concepts that the county was concerned about remain the same. As we kind of anticipated, litigation has been filed by the American Farm Bureau Federation, as well as the Public Lands Council, and I think some affiliated groups out of Wyoming. And so it'll be interesting to see how that litigation plays out. I think there's also probably likely to be some congressional discussions on that new rule, because it has the potential to kind of alter how things are done on public lands from a multiple use standpoint as well as a mitigation standpoint. So we'll continue to kind of track that one. The BLM Solar Energy Programmatic EIS, that's under cooperating agency at this point. You'll recall we did provide some pretty extensive comments on that back in April. We anticipate that the public final draft and proposed plan will come out in August 2024. That is certainly something we're going to want to keep an eye on. If you'll recall, when the draft came out, they had like 5 different alternatives, and some of the mapping wasn't right. For example, the FRTC modernization boundaries weren't incorporated. So we'll want to make sure that that has been updated and that they've paid attention to some of the county inputs. And that's something we'll want to take a close look at in August. And because it's a final EIS, we're probably going to have a shorter time period. And so just keep in mind that August, September is going to be busy for us. Shedra with BLM had mentioned the BLM Greater Sage Grouse RMP update. Again, the last time I visited with you over at the Rafter 3C, we had finalized our comments to their draft EIS. We anticipate, again, that the final is likely to be published in August or September. There's obviously a push to get that published before this administration's term ends. And I think what that's going to result in is some real legal vulnerabilities from the BLM. We have asked in that letter for them to issue a draft supplemental EIS specific to the state of Nevada. I suspect that's not going to happen. And so we will want to make sure, again, when this comes out in final form, that we're prepared, and we will be to issue a comment on that, and we'll probably want to include a conversation with the governor's office on that. Because it is a resource management plan amendment, the governor's office will have a 60-day consistency review. So whatever our final comments are, not only will go to the BLM, but we'll want to make sure they go to the governor's office as well with any concerns there. Those are kind of the big items. The other one, and again, this is going to drop in August, that we've talked about in the past. In fact, we've provided 2 separate scoping letters. So Shedra mentioned Greenlink West, which actually does not come into Churchill County. However, Greenlink North does. Greenlink North starts at Robinson Substation in White Pine County and goes to the power plant there at the north end of Mason Valley. We have had conversations through cooperating agency with BLM and even hosted a workshop here in Fallon to talk not only about the proposed alignment, but the BLM proposed utility corridor that would go with that. There are some parcels that were incorporated in the FRTC and NDAA language that could have been affected, and so we've done a lot of behind-the-scenes work to make sure that those parcels we work so hard on don't end up in a subsequent energy corridor, and then we have all sorts of land planning issues. So I'm hopeful that a lot of what we flagged for them will be resolved by the time this comes out in the draft EIS, but that's another one that we'll be looking at. So I anticipate I will be hopefully seeing you folks more and more in August and September. As far as wild horses go, Sheidra gave you some updated numbers that are even more recent than my report. And with that, Chairman, I'll stand for any questions.
Any questions or comments for Jeremy?
Do you really think the BLM will have their guidelines prepared by September?
As relates, Commissioner Sharman, as relates to the checkerboard resolution, I believe they will have a draft implementation plan. Keep in mind the implementation plan is kind of their plan of how they're going to roll things out. And so that step I do anticipate they'll have done. But remember, the checkerboard resolution was kind of always the mid to longer term play. So, you know, in terms of anything actually exchanging hands, I would say we're years out on that. The more immediate play was the direct exchange between us and DOI. And we're probably still over a year before patents are issued or that exchange takes place. But that will, in my mind, definitely happen quicker than the actual checkerboard resolution.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, thank you, Jeremy. I appreciate it. 7I, consideration and possible action, renewal of contract with Resource Concepts Incorporated for an amount to not exceed $85,000 annually through June 30th, 2026. Jim?
Mr. Chairman, Jim Barbie for the record. This is, just as it states, a renewal and extension on of the contract that we've had with RCI since before 2018. Predates me, so I'm not sure the exact date that we joined in this, but I just cannot reinforce enough the good work that RCI and specifically Jeremy does for Churchill County and how important this contract is for us as we move forward with continued implementation of the NDAA. So I would ask that you approve this.
Is there any questions or comments for Jim or Jeremy? Is there any public comment? A motion, please.
I'll make a motion to approve the contract renewal with Resource Concepts Incorporated, effective retroactively from July 1, 2024 through June 30th, 2026, and authorize the county manager to execute the same.
Second it.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Jeremy.
Yep, just to close, Chairman, to say we appreciate working with the county since 2016, Jim, and this turned into something that we didn't necessarily expect, but it's been great working with y'all, and we look forward to continuing that relationship, so thank you.
Likewise. Did anyone want to pull any of the letters received? If not, we'll move to new business. 9A, consideration of possible action, notification of and approval of the apportionment of the fiscal year 2024 federal payment in lieu of taxes in the amount of $2,973,815. Sherry?
Thank you. This is pretty much a housekeeping item. We received our in lieu of taxes from the federal government at the end of June, and it was 2% lower than budget. However, since we only have to put 15% into the debt service fund, there was an excess of $53,927 that will help shore up the general fund, which was the fund that would have been short by the 2% shortfall. So therefore, it will be above budget by $2,742. And I'm asking you to approve this allocation, please.
Is there any questions or comments for Sherry? Could I get a motion, please?
I move to note the receipt of the FY 2024 federal payment in lieu of taxes, PILT, and to approve the appropriate to the funds as recommended by the comptroller.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Sherry. 9B, consideration and possible action, approval of the revised pay tables for fiscal year 2024, 2025. Chris?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Chris Bross, Churchill County, County Manager's Office. So this item in front of you today is to resolve an oversight on my part. When you approved the pay tables back at the June 20th meeting, we were very focused on making sure that there was positions that were less than the new Nevada minimum wage that they were covered, such as interns, lifeguards, camp counselors. However, there was 3 positions on our general jobs title sheet that were overlooked. One of those is the library page. They were at a grade 18, which is $11.44. So we are requesting that they be moved to a grade 20, which brings them to $12.02. We currently have 1 library page working for us, and we've advertised for another one. So that one is pretty important. The other 2 positions are positions that we have with the county, but there is no one those are currently vacant. One is an office aide, and the other one is a front desk host. In order to make sure that if those positions are ever filled, I do want to make sure that those are above the minimum wage, the $12. So again, I'm requesting that the office aide be moved from a grade 18 to a grade 20. Again, $11.44 to $12. And then the front desk host from a grade 15 also to a grade 20, which also gets them to $12.02. And the only thing that's really being revised is the job title page. Any of the pay tables that have already been executed and signed, those all remain the same. This was basically just changing the grades of those 3 positions to cover that minimum wage. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Any questions or comments for Chris? Is there any public comment? Seeing none, can I get a motion?
I move to approve the revised pay tables for fiscal year FY 24-25 as submitted effective July 8, 2024, reflecting the following revision. 1, change the pay grade for the library page from grade 18, $11.44 per hour to grade 20, $12.02 per hour to reflect the new Nevada minimum wage of $12 per hour. 2, change the pay grade for the office aide from grade 18, $11.44 per hour to grade 20, $12.02 per hour to reflect the new Nevada minimum wage of $12 per hour. Change the pay grade for the front desk host from grade 15, $10.63 per hour to grade 20, $12.02 per hour to reflect the new Nevada minimum wage of $12 per hour.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
9C, consideration and possible action approval of an interlocal agreement with the Truckee Carson Irrigation District to exchange a 1990 John Deere backhoe for a snow dog plow and sander. Joe?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is Joe Sanford for the record. Currently, we have a 1990 John Deere tractor. It's being used by Parks and Recreation as well as sometimes the Road Department, but mostly the Parks and Recreation. They are looking to move that to TCID, which has further use for that machine, which we don't use very often, and exchanging it for a snow dog plow and sander that would be used by the Road Department for road maintenance in winter conditions. They have a relatively equal value, about $14,000 each.
Is there any questions or comments for Joe? Is there any public comment? Could I get a motion, please?
I'll make a motion to approve the interlocal agreement with TCID to exchange a 1990 John Deere backhoe for the snow dog plow and sander.
Second it.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. 9D, consideration and possible action approval of the Churchill County Debt Management Policy for fiscal year 2024-2025. Sherry?
Thank you. Pam's going to put up the slides, please. Okay, this is our debt policy. NRS requires that we bring it before the board for approval, and then we bring it in front of the Debt Management Committee after you have approved it. And so I'll walk through our debt. We want to make sure that we keep our debt within these areas. We have finite capacity of debt that we can issue. It's like 10% of our assessed value before our properties. And we want to make sure we have the economic base and debt burden to cover our debt, the current portions, the debt service requirements, that money that we need to cover the principal and the interest, and also any possible future projects. And this is what the debt looked like as of June 30th, 2024. You can see the numbers there. We have all our debt is from revenue bonds, therefore it's not general obligation. General obligation debt requires that all our revenues are dedicated towards that, not that they have to all go there, but it limits the amount of debt we can get. This is actually covered by revenue. So you can look at that. We have nice interest rates, and with CCCOM on there, we have debt of $34 million roughly. Next slide, please. And these are the payments that are required. That was a 24 and the 25 payment for the county and our water, utility water, which was the part of the well project, and there's a CCCOM debt. That's the debt requirement. And what's funding our debt? We have the quarter-cent sales tax to infrastructure, 15% of the PELT, which I had just referenced, and 15% of the geothermal rents. And CCCOMS is supported by the user fees. Possible future projects, you know, these have kind of been sitting on there, and anything else that you might want to bring before, these would all come before your board. And that's the short of it. And so I ask you to approve the policy. There was a lot more depth within the report. Hopefully you had a chance to look at that, and let me know if you had any questions.
Any questions or comments for Sherry? Is there any public comment? Seeing none, can I get a motion?
I move to approve Churchill County's debt management policy for fiscal year 2024-2025 and to provide copies to the Department of Taxation and the local debt management commission as required by statutes.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Did anyone want to pull anything off the consent agenda? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve that.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as submitted.
Second it.
All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Did anyone have anything they wanted to consider for a future agenda item? Okay, Commissioner and Management Staff reports. Justin?
Yesterday, I attended a Lawn Conservation District meeting and a Stillwater one a couple weeks ago.
Okay, I had a fire board meeting last week, and then I also had a RTC meeting this morning. Buzz?
Nothing.
Sherry? Nothing. Joe?
No updates.
Jim?
Late yesterday afternoon, we were contacted by BLM SNPLMA office asking for additional information on 2 of our submissions, and were given notice that those 2 submissions were going to be forwarded to the DC office for sign-off by the Secretary of Interior for approval. They are expediting the process, I assume, because of the election. But it's really great news for us here in Churchill County. Again, that's money at BLM that is derived from the purchase of land or BLM land around Las Vegas that goes into a special interest-bearing fund, which is the SNPLMA money. So this will be roughly $42 million coming into Churchill County from that fund in Las Vegas for the expansion of the 3C complex, as well as the expansion of the ball fields on North Main, the old historic baseball field and the girls softball fields that are up there. So I think now it's just a matter of getting those submitted from BLM to DC and waiting for that sign off, and hopefully early in this next federal fiscal year, we'll be able to go to plan and design and really get something going here pretty quick. So good news.
Very exciting news. Thank you. Pam?
I do have a few things this time. So I wanted to inform you that we had a nuisance complaint filed yesterday. We have to have the hearing between August 15th and the 25th. The respondent is a firefighter out at the base, so I know that he has limited time off. So I did get in touch with him. He can be here during the regular meeting on August 21st, so if you guys are okay with that, I'm going to set it for that date.
Does that work for everyone? That works.
Okay. And then I also wanted to make sure you guys knew, I didn't know if they'd send anything to you separately. The Oasis Academy High School has invited each of you to their open house. I can forward an email that I received about that. And finally, I would like to set a special meeting on November 15th for us to canvass the vote of the general election. So if you guys could look at your calendars and we could pick a time, I would appreciate that.
Okay, we can
Do you
all
guys-
look at that.
Yeah.
That works
Do you have
for
a
me.
special time you want me to do? It's, is it a Thursday? No, I don't even remember what I looked at.
We do like 5 o'clock, Pam?
You want to do it at 5?
Yes.
Okay. November 15th at 5, that's Friday, is that good?
Yep,
Okay.
that's perfect.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Pam. Claims and payroll are going around. At this time, is there any public comment? Noting no public, we stand adjourned.